then I was about 15. See, my sister stayed in Detroit and lived with her grandparents, and she married there. My sister is she married very young, about 19. But when I was about 15, she saw how things were, and she asked my father if I could come and live with her. And I did. When I was about 15, 16, I went to Detroit, and I lived with Aunt Millie and Uncle Albie and their family. And then the war came along, and then I joined the Navy, and I left Detroit, was in the service for about 27 months, and then I went back to Detroit and worked there. But I was, finally I was about 26 years old, and I figured, well, when Aunt Nellie and Uncle Albie asked me to come and live with them, they figured I'd be married by 26 years old. And I thought, well, you know, maybe I should leave. And I knew I had some girlfriends in Detroit who wanted to leave Detroit, and we were all going to have these ideas. We were going to go to New York and get a place to live together and get jobs. And I don't know what happened. They got cold feet and they didn't go. So I said, well, I'm going alone. I'm going to go anyway. So I went to Philadelphia, and I saw my cousins, and I saw my Aunt Molly and Uncle, and then I saw my cousins, and they said, well, why go to New York? Stay here. You have family here. And I think I turned a little bit chicken because, you know, to go to New York and not know anyone, and here I had family, and I could live with them. So I did, and I lived with Dan and Sophie for a while. And then I got a room in a house. I lived there, I was working. I lived in a room, a bedroom, and I was kitchen privileges. And then I finally got my own little efficiency apartment. But in those days, you were not supposed to live by, yeah, nice girls didn't live by themselves. And my father probably wouldn't have permitted it. You know, it sounds funny, 26, 27 years old, my father wouldn't permit it, but he wouldn't have liked the idea of me living by myself. So I told him I lived in an apartment with a girlfriend, that we had an apartment. There wasn't any girlfriend. And and that's, I had my own little efficiency apartment, and I was working. And Aunt Millie, how we met, Cousin Harvey had a bar mitzvah. And I went to Detroit for the bar mitzvah party, bar mitzvah. And Dad's aunt and uncle, his Uncle Louis was there with his wife, who incidentally, there's some relationship which you have heard about. My sister's family somehow was, through marriage, I was related to his Uncle Louis and his wife. And that was a situation where two cousins married there too. So there was kind of a double link, which I will draw you a picture someday. Maybe Dad can do it for you. And they said, will you live in Philadelphia? I went with an old boyfriend from Detroit that I had been dating. And I know he wanted to marry me, but it just, chemistry, you know, wasn't there. But everybody thought that I, you know, because I went to the bar mitzvah with him, I was going to marry him. And they said, but if you're in Philadelphia, look up my nephew. Go back. So they gave me Dad's name and number, and I called him up, and I told him who I was. And we had we arranged a blind date. We went to a football game together. And that was the beginning. That's it. We dated, and then we got married. So that was my life. And the rest of my life was things that you and Dad and Cindy and Nancy were involved in, and you probably remember. So that's it. You can cut that off now and turn the camera.
Well, I want to
on.
know if you knew he was the one at that
Did I
football
know?
game.
No. I lived in this apartment building, and there was an elevator, and you had to get up to the 3rd floor to my apartment. And I heard the elevator going up, and then he came down the hall, and the first thing I thought, well, he's too short. I didn't particularly think he was the one, but he had such a great personality, and we got along so well, so we continued to go out, and it did turn into love. That's it.